Hello everyone and welcome to another Jurassic Park video. Over the past few months, I received many comments on various videos that have asked me pretty much the same thing. How did the T-Rex sneak into the visitor center? Can you talk about that? How did the T-Rex get in the visitor center? How? And you know what? Those are very good questions. I've wondered about that myself, and I even considered making a video about it at one point, but I never went through with it. But people want to know. And because I'm so grateful for each and every one of you subscribers, I've decided that I'm going to do it. I'm going to try and figure out how Rexy got into the visitor center, and without anyone noticing. Just keep in mind that this is all in good fun. Here we go. So let's start off by talking about the visitor center itself, because that's where the scene in question takes place. I'm going to go over a quick layout of the visitor center, more specifically the main hall. Now I've looked all over the internet to try to find blueprints or plans of the visitor center, and surprisingly, there wasn't much out there, at least from what I found. But I managed to find a couple good pictures for reference. Anyway, let's continue. As we know, the inside of the visitor center is a large rotunda with two main doors leading in and out of the building. There are various other doors that lead to other parts of the visitor center, and even outside, but most notably, there's a large opening covered with tarp near the main doors. If we look at an outside view of the visitor center, you can see additional doorways tucked away far on each side. They likely don't lead into the main hall. They probably lead into the garages. So now we have a general idea as to the ways in and out of the main hall. So which way did Rexy come in? The obvious answer is that Rexy came in through the opening that had tarp over it. As you can clearly see in this picture, Rexy is standing in that very opening with ripped tarp all around her. So I think it's safe to assume that Rexy came in through that opening. But I gotta say, that looks like a pretty small opening for such a big dinosaur to fit through. But somehow, Rexy managed. Now unfortunately, there is a bit of inconsistency with the layout of the visitor center, which I'll get to shortly. But first, I'd like to elaborate on the opening that Rexy came through. Look how close that opening is to the main doors. Okay, but when you look next to the main doors from the outside of the visitor center, where is that opening? The only other visible doorways on the outside are found way to the far sides of the building, and those likely lead to the garages, much further away from the opening that Rexy seemed to come through. And I don't think Rexy would be able to fit through those far doors. However, let's look at this picture again. It's a little hard to make out, but you can see that one of the walls has tarp hanging over it, a fair distance away from the main doors. Now it was clear that Rexy came in the building through an opening with tarp over it, so it seems as though this would be it. It's the leftmost window, and if we look closely from the inside, there are two windows before the opening that Rexy came through. 1, 2, 3, the opening. Back to the outside. 1, 2, 3, the opening. So it seems as though this is where Rexy came in. However, this is where the inconsistency comes into play. From the outside, it looks as though it's farther away from the main doors than how it looks from the inside. In addition, the opening from the inside looks like it's facing a different angle than what's shown from the outside. I'll explain a bit more. Look at the opening that faces outside. Notice there's potted plants there. Now look at the opening from the outside. No potted plants. Maybe it's just a movie goof, or a sudden change in the set design. Who knows? Here's another thing I wanted to mention. Look how high up that opening is from the ground. Did Rexy climb up there? Well, if she was able to climb the stairs in Jurassic Park the game, then maybe she did the same thing here. Let's say that she did. So Rexy climbed up the ledge, came in through the opening with tarp over it, and bam, she's in the visitor center. Okay, so now we know how Rexy got in, but how did she do it without anyone noticing? This is a tough one. You might be asking, wouldn't they have heard Rexy's footsteps? One would think so, but then I remembered something. Let's look back at the scene where Rexy was hunting the Gallimimus. We didn't hear any massive footsteps there, then Rexy came bursting out of the trees like a ninja. So when it comes to hunting, Rexy knows how to be stealthy in some regard. She likely employed this same tactic when she was hunting the raptors. Yes, Rexy could very well have been hunting the raptors from the get-go. For those of you who don't know, T-Rexes have an exceptional sense of smell. Rexy may have been wandering around the Gallimimus paddock, which is not that far from the visitor center, and likely picked up the scent of the raptors and headed towards the visitor center. The raptors were likely so focused on hunting the people that they didn't notice Rexy sneaking up from behind them. So whatever Rexy did when she was hunting the Gallimimus, she must have done here in the visitor center. Now you might also be asking, how could they miss something that big come into the building? Well, let's break it down into a play-by-play analysis of the scene in question. As you can see, the raptor's getting ready to pounce. And as it gets ready to pounce, the people are looking straight at it. Okay? Right here. If you look closely, you can see Rexy's shadow come into view. The people are still looking straight at the raptor. The raptor jumps and then the people look away. Then Rexy comes in slightly from the side and bites down. And if you look at the people during Rexy's attack, they're not looking in her direction. They were still looking in the direction of the raptor, straight on. Now there's definitely no way that Lex or Tim would be able to see Rexy, because Grant and Ellie were shielding them. This may sound silly and very obvious, but the reason why they didn't notice Rexy come in was because they weren't looking in that direction. I probably wouldn't either. I'd be more concerned with a dinosaur about to kill me head on than one slightly farther away. Another reason they might not have seen Rexy come in could be because they may have been going through an adrenaline rush, and were too focused on the attacking raptor to notice anything else in their surroundings. I know it's a bit of an overboard suggestion, but it's still a possibility, but not something one would think of when watching the movie. So to kind of summarize, Rexy used her stealthy hunting tactics to stalk the raptors, quietly entered the building through an opening in the wall, and went in for the kill. Now this is all speculation, of course. Taking the time to try and figure out exactly what happened while factoring in structural details, inconsistencies, and T-Rex psychology is enough to give anyone a headache. I speak from experience, so let's just take a step back and suspend our disbelief. Honestly, I don't even think about the inconsistencies and such when I watch these movies. I mean, who cares? They don't make the movie less enjoyable. It's entertainment. That's what matters. Again, this is all speculation and merely my own opinion. At the end of the day, there is no official answer. And you know something? I'm okay with that. I'm okay with not knowing. I'm okay with the surprise we got. We can theorize all day long about how it could have happened, but it doesn't change the fact that it happened. Steven Spielberg made it this way because he wanted to give viewers an unforgettable moment, and he did just that. If you remember from my top 10 favorite moments in Jurassic Park video, this moment's my number one favorite. So let's just enjoy this awesome moment for what it is. Don't forget to check out DinosaurDetector.com, where you can find all kinds of dinosaur merchandise, such as figures, toys, t-shirts, and the aptly named Dinosaur Detector mug. Watch out for ripples. There's something here for any dinosaur lover, and for a limited time, if you go to the website and use the code PRUCHIK, you'll get 10% off your purchase. Every little bit helps. How do you think Rexy got in the visitor center? Talk about it in the comments. Thank you for watching this video. I'd really appreciate it if you could check out my other videos and subscribe to me too. I promise to keep the content coming. See you next time.